So I didn't do a post-game video last night, as you might have noticed. One, because the game was a little bit later than usual and I was a little tired, but more so that I could not understand for the life of me how the Bulls continued to blow games in the fourth quarter. The Bulls were outscored 31-16 in the fourth. How many times are we going to see this happen? And to have it happen in the final 20 games of the season, a critical time for the playoff push. The Bulls are 29th in the league, second to the last in the league in net rating in the fourth quarter. That just can't happen. I mean, the Bulls are lucky there is a play-in tournament this season. Otherwise, playoffs are out. There's no way they would be able to make enough ground to catch the 8 seed with the way that they're playing. And they may even fall out of the play-in contention, but at least with the play-in tournament, they have a shot at making 2 good back-to-back games to squeak into the playoffs. But the way the Bulls have been playing, I have a hard time seeing it, to be honest. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So guys, I know the Grizzlies are a decent team. You know, they have some young, talented players, an underrated big man in Valanciunas who's having a career best season. But at the same time, there is no excuse for the Bulls collapsing yet again in the fourth quarter. Not this late in the season. Really not ever, you would hope, but especially not this late in the season. If you've been following my channel for a while now, you've likely heard me say the thing I want to see most from the Bulls is consistent effort and giving it 100% the whole 48 minutes. I said that in some of my videos prior to the start of the season. I've said it throughout the season, and we still just do not see it from this Bulls team. And it's incredibly frustrating as a fan because on paper, this team should be a lot better. The Bulls traded for an all-star level player, a big man that they desperately needed. We always talked about how the Bulls needed a big man and point guard. Well, you got an all-star caliber big man, and we haven't seen much improvement. Now, I said that, after the trade was made, well, it's going to take a little bit of time for this new roster to get acclimated to each other. And of course, things started off a bit bumpy after the trade deadline, which is to be expected. But we were playing against good teams, and so fair. But guys, it's been over 2 weeks now, and the Bulls are still losing bad games. And I know it's tough because of all the traveling, the consolidated schedule. There isn't much time for practice. There was no training camp and off-season for the new acquisitions, but I would have expected the Bulls to still be performing a little bit better. I mean, the Bulls have lost 9 of their last 12, and the 3 straight wins that they had were against depleted teams. Beating the Nets, which was a good win, but then again, they didn't have James Harden or Kevin Durant. The Pacers were without Sabonis and Brogdon. The Raptors were shorthanded. I mean, it's great to see the Bulls win those games. Winning those games is what they should be doing. They should be able to close those ones out, but they're not really that impressive of wins. And then, of course, the last 3, the Hawks, the Wolves, and then last night against the Grizzlies, all games the Bulls had in their grasp and should have won, but they couldn't close. The effort hasn't been there in the fourth quarter. The hustle hasn't been there. The energy hasn't been there. The defense is slow. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the guys. I think some of it is on coaching. You obviously have to whip these guys into shape and make them want it more than the other team, but at the same time, players also have to be held accountable, all of them. Now, I don't want this to be a doom and gloom video because if you guys know me, I generally like to have positive outlook on things, and I do firmly believe that with this new front office, the Bulls will be okay for the long term. And a lot of work has to be done. A lot of changes are going to need to be made. But anything is better than having this organization run by Garpax like we saw before. I mean, already our tourists, they're still trying to fix the mess that was left by the previous regime, and it wasn't just going to happen in one season. Now, folks were getting pretty heated in the live chat last night saying that this is a trash team, we should just tank for the top 4 protected pick, everyone on the team sucks, everyone should be traded, Billy Donovan should be fired. I mean, I've heard it all by now. And it's funny because the commentary goes back and forth when things aren't going well and the Bulls are losing. It's the team is cursed and we suck. And then when we win, even in that 3-game win streak, it changes to we're on the up and up and we're making the playoffs. And we'll even make some noise in the first round against a top-seeded team. I mean, what I try to do is find a balance here and not be so reactionary, because I'll admit I am a reactionary fan sometimes. I get frustrated and heated in the moment watching live games of the Bulls because as fans, we're tired of the Bulls being a joke in this league. We want to see our team finally start winning again, and every year we get our hopes up and it turns out to be yet another losing season. Now, I had some guys ask me last night in the chat if I still think the Bulls will make the play-in tournament at this point. And I still think, yeah, they could. I don't think it's a guarantee, and they very could miss it, especially if they don't get their act together. But I would not be surprised if they made it. No, because the East at the bottom is pretty bad, and even as bad as the Bulls are playing, they're still sitting in the 10th spot, which is good enough for the play-in tournament. I had a lot of guys not like that response and say, why can't you just admit the Bulls suck? Why am I hyping up this team? Well, first of all, if you need me to say that we suck or that we're bad, yeah, we're bad. Anytime you're sitting 10th in the Eastern Conference, you're not a good team. So there you go. Me hyping up the Bulls, I mean, if you call it hyping, thinking the Bulls will make the play-in tournament, then okay. I'll admit I might have a more optimistic viewpoint on the Bulls than some, but I'm also realistic about my team. I've never claimed that they're contenders or that they'll make any kind of noise in the playoffs this year. They still struggle in turning the ball over. They're horrible on defense. Most of the guys on the roster are incredibly inconsistent. The guys don't have the confidence to close out games in the fourth quarter. And I've mentioned all throughout this season, my perspective on that hasn't changed. So I wouldn't really call that hyping up the team by any means. In fact, I've had a lot of people say sometimes I'm too negative of the current state of the team. So I guess the bottom line is you really can't win on either side. For me, I try and tell it like it is. The way I see this team, sometimes it might seem negative, sometimes it might seem like I'm propping up the team to be better than they actually are. At the end of the day, this isn't a good team. They still have a lot of work to do, but I also don't have any doubts this front office will make the necessary changes to improve the team for the long term. As far as the game goes, I mean, what else is there to say? The guys turned the ball over 17 times. They shot a measly 16% from three. Not sure why they took 31 threes when those shots aren't going down. Patrick Williams and Tomas Satoransky have combined 4 points in the last two games. Your starting point guard and small forward. I don't know what's been going on with Sato recently. After having that incredible game, his best of the season against the Nets where he had a double-double, he has just been a non-factor, shooting really cold on offense, turning the ball over. He was minus 19 last night in the game. Zach Lavine was cold from the floor as well, although really everyone wasn't shooting the ball well. Lavine finally was getting some calls though. He was able to make it to the free throw line and having 11 attempts. Lavine finished the night with 21 points and 9 assists. Vucevic had a nice game. I would love to see the guys feed him more in the paint, especially with how bad they have been shooting the three ball recently. Vucevic had 17 points, 10 rebounds, and also 5 steals actually. Thaddeus Young also had a nice game, 20 points in 20 minutes, shooting 10 for 15 from the field. And Daniel Tice was great off the bench for the Bulls, scoring 18 points on 8 for 12 shooting. But what was disappointing to see was Lauri Markkanen putting up 0 points for the first time in his career. He did have 7 rebounds, but only shot 3 attempts. He played 16 minutes. It's sad to see how Markkanen has fallen off as a player in this league who had such a promising future when we saw him play in his rookie season. And then Coby White, I still think that this kid can be a good player in this league. He's only in his second season, he's 21 years old, but the man has to improve his decision making on the court. I mean, every time he comes into the game, he's trying to create plays for himself rather than getting his teammates involved. He puts up contested threes when the Bulls are on a run, and it kills the overall momentum and flow of the offense. He still continues to be a liability on defense. His playmaking isn't there, and as we see a lot of ISO-heavy plays from Coby when he's in the game, it generally turns into missed opportunities. I don't know, like I mentioned, I do think Coby White will be able to figure it out because he is so young and has a lot of talent. He has the ability to get hot in a hurry and go off on offense. We've seen that from him this season and in his rookie season, but for Coby, it's still all about consistency. Can he do it on a nightly basis? Anyway, I get why fans are frustrated. I am frustrated with this team as well. You can basically wave out those 3 straight wins when you follow it up with 3 straight losses. Bulls have to figure things out pretty quickly, and let's hope with some easy games coming up they can take advantage and get some wins. Don't forget, I'll have my weekly Bulls hot takes video out tomorrow, so feel free to leave your hot takes below in the comments if you want to be included in the video. I've already been getting some good ones throughout this week. Be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan as I post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.